方たちの撮影に向かいながら一緒に、避難道路に向かいました。
避難して山の方に高台に上がっていく道路があるわけですね、はい、そしてこれ津波が襲ったのはだいたい揺れてから何分後ぐらいですか
？30分はかかっていないかな。
30分かかっていない、だいたい3時10分前後なんでしょうか、はいはい、この雪崩海水がこう街を飲み込むように入ってきましたけれども、この時の感じというのはどういう感じなんですか
？The fourth floor.
To the structure stay?
I just can't believe it. And this is the largest earthquake ever to occur on Honshu, in and around. This is the largest, a 9. Back in, when it was 23 or something, I think they had one that was to kill 143,000 people. That was just, it wasn't that big. It was 7 something. But this is the largest earthquake for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a 9. How do you fathom a 9? Like, I think I saw some numbers that the island of Japan actually moved 8 feet.
They said that I was down there and they told me that. And I really, they can measure that now because NASA is the one that can do it. Right. They measure that stuff.
Well, and so
they're probably right. That's what they said when I went down to the office. That's what they said. And I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah."
Move a whole country 8 feet. Perhaps the earthquakes of this magnitude has impact on the other side of the circle. In other words, you saw this earthquake in Sumatra, and then after that Peru, and then coming back to Japan. And there's a theory that we may actually see something in the California coastline.
Well, this is what I'm worried about. After seeing this, I'm just wondering how prepared we are in California.
Not very.
Because, if we have a big earthquake there on the San Andreas Fault or anywhere along that coast, and we get a tsunami generated, I'm just wondering just how prepared we are, because, very little has been thought about when you're thinking about buildings are doing whatever for tsunami. It's always the earthquake, because usually you get the tsunami, but you don't worry that much about it. You worry about the buildings falling. That's what you worry about.
Yeah, maybe we could, if you could do me a favor and explain to the public what a 9 really means. I think that's the question is, people don't really understand.
Well, when you look at it and you think of a 9 earthquake, how to best explain it? I cannot relate a 9 earthquake to, they tried to get me to do this the other day. How many atomic bombs would it take? And I really couldn't relate that to that, And what you look at every time you go from one lower number to the next higher number, it's always 32 times as much energy, And you look at it that way, and then you compare the 9 earthquake with the greatest earthquake on record as we speak today. The biggest earthquake on record is a 9.5 near the coast of Chile in 1960. Well, you look at there was tsunami generated there from that, and when you look at right at the epicenter, even though it's a 9.5 right near the coast, only about 1,600 to 1,700 people was killed. That's all, right at the epicenter. Then it killed quite a few around the Pacific coast because they didn't heed the warning. And then, you know, that's a 9.5, and this is a 9.0, and you kind of look at the size of those and whatnot, but you got to also look at how the coastal area of Japan is. Now, this earthquake was supposedly caused by the Pacific plate subducting under Japan, is the way they're describing it, but also there's a trench there. You know, the Japanese trench, that's right there. And that they said that they thought, and what they're speculating, that they think that had something to do with the reason why this tsunami was such a great tsunami, so big, and the run-up was so much, running in, you know, they're talking about 6 miles. That's a long way for water to go in and go at a height. So when you say, when you compare it to something, I don't know what else you compare it to unless you compare it to Sumatra 9.1. And it generated a tsunami, but what happened with the one in Sumatra in 2004, even though it's a 9.1, they had no tsunami warning systems at all in the Indian Ocean, so they couldn't warn the people. And no one had told the people along the coast of Sumatra that if you feel strong shaking, you head for higher ground. But see, the Japanese already know all of that. They know that better than anybody. And they heed those warnings better than anybody else. And so I'm just thinking that it just hit so quickly, they didn't have time to do much of anything. So, you know, you compare with another earthquake, a magnitude 7 in Haiti, which is way, much lower than this earthquake. But when you look at Haiti, Haiti had all of the damage and loss of life because the buildings were very poorly built and all of the buildings collapsed. But there, they had no tsunami of anything. They had a tsunami, but the tsunami did not contribute to the death. But I'm just thinking that if this had just been the earthquake, you wouldn't have near the death and the damage to those reactors that you have if it wasn't for that tsunami.
And the irony is actually the most damage may be due to the nuclear reactors, because we're talking decades of radioactive, basically leaving that section useless.
Exactly, and for how many years? That's what I'm thinking about.
And we're talking very viable land that's just
viable land
north of
and there's all of the livelihood, the plants and everything that are nearby. What are you going to do with them? I mean, you know.
Not only that, but the implications of that it's so close to the coastline. What type of contamination is it doing to the seawater? I do predict the next one's going to be much more cataclysmic than this one.
What do you think it might be?
I think it'll be New York City. I think it will be New York City.
You do? Well, I can't say it won't, because New York City got that Ramapo fault up there, and they've had some history of some.
It's not the size of the earthquake. It's the
people,
location
and the number of people they got there.